Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome back to a very chilly morning here in Florida. As you can see, there's frost on the ground everywhere. Got a little colder than the weatherman said. Happens a lot here lately. So we're going to do a little work inside today until it warms up. Got quite a bit of stuff in the back of the Ranger. This is going to be an all over the place episode. Basically a punch list, a to-do list. We have to knock a lot of stuff out in the house while I'm waiting on it to warm up. We can start polycoating those pine boards. There's my long commute to work. All right, so for starters, I am going to hook up our bathroom vanity lights. Probably a bit early to be doing this, but it's something to knock out. I'll keep a running punch list of things I've got to do. And on cold days or rainy days, I like to come inside, just knock some of that stuff out. It's all got to get done at some point anyways. Might as well go ahead and do it. And this is up and out of the way. It's not like there's a whole lot of risk of it being damaged. All right, moment of truth. Whoa. Wow. Well, as old Mogwai said, bright light, bright light. I think we're gonna go with some lower wattage bulbs, but you get the point. Well, that was nice and quick. Now let's move on to the other one. All right, well, here's this fancy thing that Tiffany has picked out. Looks like some crystal globes or something. And I just discovered it takes some kind of specialty LED bulb called a G9 that I've never dealt with before. So I've had to order some of those in. Now we're gonna wind up doing a huge mirror here, maybe a 4-foot by 3-foot mirror, and then a small vanity over here, and a little sitting area. This is basically gonna be our powder room. That's why we want such a big mirror. We put her another light over here, plus these lights, and you have one back here. So we're gonna give her plenty of light to get ready to do her makeup. So something I've been planning on doing, and it's been on my mind since day one, is some forced ventilation in this refrigerator cubby that I built. Now I put refrigerator end panels on either side, which we would have had a wall over here anyways, because I think it gives it a nice custom clean look. I can't stand having a countertop and seeing the side of an ugly old refrigerator. I'd much rather see this nice wood over here. Now that presents one problem. Whenever a refrigerator takes heat out of air, that's how it cools the air down, it has to get it out through the sides, top, back, multiple places where the coils are. So whenever you create a box like this, you're not allowing good airflow around the compressor or the coils themselves for that heat to escape. Now, I think a lot of refrigerators nowadays are designed a little better. I've noticed this one has a floor vent up front, and I can feel there must be some sort of small fan in there, some air movement that forces air out the back by the compressor. But again, I've not left much room. So what I did is I went online and purchased some of these vent fans. I'm actually gonna put this one behind where the refrigerator vent is by the compressor. This will be forcing air up, and then I'm gonna have another very low powered quiet fan in the roof up here that's gonna force air out into the room. And all this will actually be pulling in from down at floor level where there's already a refrigerator vent. So that should help extend the life of the refrigerator, the compressor, all the working components, and make it a little more efficient, getting that hot air out of this box that's basically I've created. Now I was really excited when I ordered these fans, and Tiffany kind of said, no, on one of the designs that I had. So I found this really cool vent fan right here. So it sucks in air from the bottom and forces it out front through a grill. I thought since we just put this trim ring in, it would be a perfect place to have it right there, but she's not crazy about the look. And I guess I understand that. We can always add it there later. So what I'm gonna do is mount this up underneath in the back to where it catches the air that this one forces up toward the bottom of this one, and then this one helps exhaust it out through this gap out into the room. So I think this will actually work. It's not gonna hurt. These literally pull less than a watt from what I remember reading, so they don't add much airflow. We're just gonna have to make sure they're not loud. This one right here is unbelievably quiet. I can't hear it. This one's a little more noisy, but this happens to be the one that's going in the bottom corner back there. I'm not so sure that we're gonna be able to hear it. If this one winds up being too noisy, I'm just gonna get 2 of these because this one works really, really well. So there is a vent all along the bottom of the refrigerator there. A vent here, and the one I'm really feeling the airflow is this vent over here. So I'm gonna position my fan right there on the wall to exhaust up and out, since it feels like this air is blowing this direction. All right, so I have these roughly in there. I realize I do not have the actual wire ties to put this to the wall, so this is just rough for now. But what I've done was mounted this fan on the wall right behind this vent. This is where I felt the most heat the other day when I plugged my refrigerator in and tested everything. And it is actually blowing the heat across the wall, across the back of the refrigerator, up into this corner to where this one is. And that was actually running. It's extremely quiet. I can feel air. It's adjustable with multiple speeds. I have it on low right now, and I can feel the air coming all the way out here. Now, one problem that we have, this fan is just too loud. So I'm gonna return it. It's way too loud, actually. Get another one of these that'll mount in the same exact spot. And I'll have 2 ultra quiet, very low wattage fans. This one moving hot air up away from the compressor, and this one blowing it out here. I just stuck the refrigerator in, and I can feel the air going across the top and exiting into the room. So this definitely can't hurt. All right, so one thing that I want to put in over in this area of the house, this is where I have my incoming water from the pump and oil. And this is where I have my hot and cold water line stubbed out of the house to where I'll feed hot water in and cold water as well. So I want to use a filter system. And the reason that we have to use these here is we have a fine clay silt in our water. I know a lot of y'all keep seeing this sand and stuff and think there's not clay on the property, but as soon as you dig down just a couple of feet and on some of these hills here, we have a lot of red clay, especially the deeper that you go. Our well is 160 foot deep, and it must be in a clay pocket because, like I said, we just get a fine red silt. It doesn't stain nothing other than like clothing. You obviously don't want it in your water if you're drinking water. And I have found these cheap whole house filters do an excellent job. They cost a couple of dollars for the filter where I can get them, and I change them out about every 2 months. I'm gonna double it up here so I get extra filtration for the house. I'm also gonna hook up a little spigot on the other end in case I need filtered water for anything, filling up a hot tub or running around to the pool, something like that. Might as well go ahead and do it. So I'm gonna spend a few minutes figuring out exactly where I wanna mount these, how I wanna run this system, because I got a little bit to figure out here. And I want to make it to where it's easy to get to and change these in the future should I need to. Also, I have to hook up and be prepared to plumb in the hot water. So the hot water heater. I don't know if we'll get to that in this episode, but potentially will. So I've got to factor a lot of things in here. So I'm going to save y'all the boredom of me gluing everything together. But the best advice I can give you for a setup like this, go ahead and lay everything out ahead of time. Make sure it fits. Make sure everything's going to be in the proper location. And always start with your threaded connectors. You can see I have everything loose right now. So now what I'll do is go in with some of this Teflon tape paste. I found this works the best of anything. Put it on these threads, and then I'll go ahead and cinch down every single threaded connection, even especially on something like this. Go ahead and get it snug. And the reason I'm doing that is because once I come back and glue my joints in, you can move them around with the glue and get them perfectly set up. Whereas you have to snug to a certain point with this, and if you've already got your fittings glued on, well, your fitting could wind up over here, over there, everywhere else before this eventually snugs up. So always snug those down first and then glue after the fact. It's always worked very well for me. All right, so let me show you this contraption that we got going on here. So coming out of the ground is our PVC line from our pumping well. That's feeding into the first filter, out of the first, into the second, and then out toward the house. So I put me a brass cutoff valve here, a 1-inch valve. So anytime I need to service these filters, I can cut the water off. I don't have to cut it off anywhere else on the property or go kill it at the pump. Then I went ahead and decided to put me in a faucet so I can take pressure off the system to change those filters. And if for any reason I ever want filtered water, say to go fill up a pool or just something I really want good filtered water for, well, I can come right here and hook up to this spigot. So then it goes down and I make my transition into CPVC, which is what is through slab plumbed into the house here. And I know a lot of people are wondering about PVC for drinking water. I couldn't find anything in any code down here. I've then had the sanitation department out. As long as your stuff is National Sanitation Foundation or NSF rated, I don't see personally what the big problem is there. We're also going to put filters inside the house, so just letting you know, that's why I had to make a transition from PVC. 1 inch is actually overkill for the house, but it's just what I'll run around the property. And that's why I made that transition to CPVC. Right here, I'm trying something brand new. This is called a scale filter or a hard water filter. I see excellent reviews online for these. These cartridges supposedly last about 6 months. Although I probably would change them sooner. And this takes that hard water and lime scale out that you constantly see building up in dishwashers, shower heads, things like that. Now, what's critical about this filter, and the main reason that I want it, is for my on-demand water heater that I'm going to put outside. The #1 killer of a on-demand water heater is hard scale buildup inside those tubes that heat up and actually will cause pinhole leaks. I have seen it before, so I'm really curious about this. This is called a water drop. I think Aquascape or somebody also makes one of these. Filters are compatible. So we're going to try this out and see how it does. The only thing I am concerned, it does have a rating that it doesn't need to be out in freezing temperatures. Being this is Florida, that's okay. But I am going to, after I pressure test everything, insulate very well. And the beautiful thing about out here is I have an outlet. So if at any time I need to hook up a heat lamp for this area, which I most likely will, so these filters and that doesn't freeze in the winter, I do have that option. So once we come on around, we feed, it goes into the house. That's the cold water filtered supply for the house. And I'm stopping right here. So it comes out, this is the cold water that'll feed the water heater. This is the hot water return. The reason this stuff's like this is because originally we'd thought we were gonna do some stuff inside and we've decided to do on-demand everything outside. Kind of how we had it at our last house. I think it's going to work out just fine. We'll just insulate our pipes very well. All right, so I'm at a stopping point. I like to let my glue sit up overnight. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pressure test tomorrow. If there's no leaks, I'm going to go ahead and pipe wrap and insulation. Speaking of that, I got to run to town, get a little bit more pipe insulation and a couple more fittings, and then I'm gonna have an episode coming up here before long. We're going to install the on-demand water heater outside, everything except the gas, because, well, the gas company has to legally hook that up. That's part of code, and I don't think they'll warranty it if they don't do the final electrical connection, which is 2 wires, very simple. I'll show it, and the gas connections themselves. So hopefully y'all enjoyed this episode, a little punch list of knocking things out around the house. Now we can charge it up with filtered water as we start making connections inside. We're ready to go there. You know, some vanity lights, things like that. It's actually warmed up nicely this afternoon, which means tomorrow I'm gonna start poly coating tongue and groove pine for that ceiling, because I've got 2 warm days ahead of me before I think a little cool front's coming again. So I need to get that stuff done. So a lot more videos coming. Thank y'all so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.